Shovel Knight could have been released 2 decades ago. It's an old-looking game that peddles old ideas with a save-the-girl story that's just as old as everything else. And you know what? None of that stuff matters. Whereas many retro-style games have a modern twist of some sort, Shovel Knight basks in its archaic nature. It's old, and that oldness doesn't detract from the fun one bit. In fact, it highlights just how timeless some ideas are. Shovel Knight is old, dusty, and really entertaining. Shovel Knight is a straightforward platformer that demands precision and determination. Winding away through dangerous locales with your shovel at the ready, you vanquish baddies while collecting all the treasure within. Secrets beckon you to explore every surface, bosses taunt you with their pattern-based attacks, special items imbue you with magical powers, and platforms cruelly vanish beneath your feet. If you cut your teeth on games during the NES era, there are tons of references to keep you smiling. The bosses resemble those from Mega Man, using knights as a stand-in for robot masters. Visiting a town brings back strong memories from Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link. As you pogo on top of enemies, it's hard to not be reminded of Scrooge McDuck in DuckTales. There are subtle and overt references throughout Shovel Knight, which is what you'd expect from a retro game. But what's important here is that Shovel Knight doesn't dwell on references to games of the past. Rather, it's the satisfying combat encounters that grab my attention. Luring a knight to lower its shield while I danced around him, or deflecting fireballs back at an enemy wasn't fun because I had done something similar years ago. Those moments were so thrilling because of the finesse required to succeed, of how pleasing it was to foil an enemy's plans, to triumph even when the tide was turned against me. This is true for the sense of discovery as well. Yes, the levels are linear, but hidden passageways are there for those who crave more treasure. Shovel Knight has smart level design that not only hides its treasures well, but also presents enough variety to keep you unhinged. Flaming platforms, crushing chandeliers, and darkening flashes keep you waiting for the unexpected. The special items you collect grant you a flaming missile or temporary invincibility, and using these in unexpected situations gave even more variety to the proceedings. I could plot my own strategies against the bosses. Maybe I toss a couple deadly spears or jump repeatedly on its head. The game gave me tools so I could be creative. But there's the hiccup. As much as I loved Shovel Knight the first time through, when I started a new game plus, well, things weren't quite as exciting. So much of Shovel Knight was built on surprises, on where items were hidden and what enemies I would face. When I revisited stages, that appeal faded away, so it struggled to hold my attention. Now, it's not a bad thing that a game was only ridiculously fun one time through, but the best games out there, the ones that inspired Shovel Knight, I could play those over and over again. Shovel Knight lost its luster once its surprises vanished. This is partly because of, well, the game's not that hard. The checkpoints are so forgiving that dying never felt like much of a punishment. And though I loved concocting new ways to kill bosses the first time through, the creative potential is a little lacking. So while I was enamored the first time through, I was going through the motions when I returned. So Shovel Knight would have been loved no matter what era it came out in. Its inherent charms are timeless, that it's not a classic. Instead, it's an amazing reminder that great game design ages but never dies, that simple mechanics can still be immensely satisfying. But it's not a game I need to return to. New Game Plus doesn't add interesting wrinkles, and without any surprises in store, there's nothing demanding my attention. Shovel Knight is a great recreation of what I grew up with, but doesn't have the longevity or inventiveness to be great in its own right.